All right, I'm sure you guys have heard about this, but there was an awful plane crash in the French Alps.
The plane sent out a distress signal at 10:45 a.m. local time, then crashed in the mountainous zone at an altitude of about 2,000 meters. According to the Germanwings CEO, it took the plane 8 minutes to descend before they lost contact with the plane. Officials said there were some clouds, but the cloud ceiling was not low and there did not appear to be turbulence. In a televised statement, German Chancellor Angela Merkel added, "This is a time and hour of great sorrow and great grief. We should be thinking about people who have lost relatives and also friends."
All right, so the story is still breaking, but it does sound like all 150 people on board did die. Is it just me, or are there more of these happening now, or is this just the media, or are we just aware of everything more, or what? But I feel like every 6 months, I feel like we're getting one of these.
Yeah, it does feel like there's a major crash more often, but I think there's probably more planes in the air. I mean, statistically, it's still very, very safe.
That's what everyone says, right? Like, that's the thing. Like,
compared
they say,
to getting in your car and going to the market.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, which seems weird because you're up 38,000 feet or whatever. But but I think it's just that and these planes are getting older. I mean, that's part of it too. They said this one's over, what was it, like 18, 20 years old, and they think, oh, that's young in this field. I'm like, really?
Yeah, that
I
doesn't.
don't know. I'm not okay with that.
Yeah, there are DC-9s still in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Kennedy flew on a DC-9.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, but it always...
Not the MTV VJ Kennedy, the president.
You meant John
F. Kennedy.
Got it.
Just for our younger viewers.
Yeah. Well, Kennedy works...
Who cares about MTV?
The MTV Kennedy works for Fox now, so she's flying in something much fancier.
Well, they have to take the bus, I understand it.
Right. Yeah. Really, do you think these things are happening more? Does it feel like it's happening more? Do you think this is a function of the media?
It's a function of the media, you know? I mean, the classic line was from the original Superman movie with Christopher Reeve, where he turns to somebody, and I think he turns to Lois Lane and says, you know, statistically speaking, flying is still safer than any type of travel.
Yeah.
But that's like saying, well, people who shave get cut, and those of you that don't, don't.
Right.
So if somebody says that every 15 minutes, it's the media. It's the repetitive.
So is it a
24-hour
control
news
thing?
cycle.
Do you guys think it's a control thing? Because I've talked about it a lot. I don't like to fly, really. For years, I was drugging myself on flights. I don't do it anymore, but now I just freak out for half the flight. But do you think it's a control thing? Like when you get in your car, even if it's statistically a higher chance of you getting hit on the way to the supermarket, that you're at least controlling a portion of it versus the plane.
Yes, you're in a metal tube hurling your body through space.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of feet above the earth.
Oh, we're not talking about the car.
No.
Oh.
It does
You're not helping my case, Kelly.
There's nothing in that makes a person who likes to have a little bit of control in their life comfortable at all. Right. And all I ever think about is, well, at least the pilot is probably got decades of experience. He's flown this plane a lot. And then, of course, you know, they lead yesterday with this story how the pilot had decades of experience. And I'm thinking, I don't even have that to calm me down anymore in an airplane.
Right.
So we are completely screwed.
Yeah, and to your first point, I always still drug myself on an airplane. And by the way, also in the car, which I highly recommend. You know, have like a salt lick.
Now, see,
you know, codeine right there by the visor.
I don't like to drug myself in the airplane because I worry about if we do go down, I don't know, I don't want to be drugged for like the last 2 minutes of my life.
I've thought of that.
And I think if you're going down, what's the effect of a Valium going to do on, you know, I mean, really, clearly.
Well, the last time
Make it more pleasurable.
Right, you want it to be as stressful as possible, knowing that it's all ended.
I don't know. I've got this like stupid Buddhist mindfulness thing. It's like I want to be present during my death or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I want to enjoy the air slide.
That sounds
I'm an
great.
idiot.
Well, I would be remiss if we did a story on planes and didn't just talk a little bit about the media coverage because it's pretty horrible. And yes, we all know that because of the news cycle, every little thing that happens, they stretch it out and they bring in. They say we're not going to speculate, and then everything's speculation. But it's worse. It somehow seems worse with planes, doesn't it?
And I just have to point out CNN in particular because they're really addicted to graphics now.
Yeah.
So they have all these fancy graphics, and I've got enough of an imagination to picture what it must have been like for the plane to be descending down. Now they've got these special 3D graphics that are showing you exactly what's happening.
So for your first-person shooters at home, you can play along with the crash.
Yeah, and the terror is rising up in me, and all I could think yesterday was, this is officially plane crash porn.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other way to put it. And
PCP.
it's disgusting. It's horrific, and I had to turn my TV off.
Is the case of CNN, real quick, is the case of CNN even particularly more bizarre because they did the months and months on the other plane crash, and the plane was never found, and yet every day they were saying breaking news as if the breaking news is we found out what happened.
All I can think of was their news director had a very large hard-on yesterday.
Yeah, huge boner.
And it's disgusting.
Everywhere he went. The worst part for me was, and I watched again this morning now that there are facts that, it's a debris field, the plane pulverized into a mountain, nothing bigger, quote unquote, than the size of a small car, which I thought was going to be some branded content, but they didn't mention a brand of the car. And then the worst part of this whole thing is that the guy explaining the coordination of the Spanish investigation team, the German investigation team, and the French investigation is a French guy. Nothing worse than having to be taken through a news cycle from a guy that sounds like he's too busy to be here. It's a plane, it crashed, I'm busy. It was horrible. I'm watching this guy, he couldn't look more bored, more put off. I'm waiting for my food.
They must love you in Paris.
Wow. I've dated the French. They're not easy.
Anyway, what do you think of this segment? Do you like to fly? Let us know in the comments down below.
Please.